Hello everyone. So I think my voice is audible for all, right? So yeah, just a minute. We wait for a minute to join the students. Okay, so after that we just get started for the JavaScript advanced classes. Okay, so I check my voice with the YouTube whether it is fine or not. Okay, so just give a minute. We will get started very soon. Okay, so and I want to share an interesting thing, like a student messaged me in LinkedIn that he gives this feedback about the LinkedIn, like how it's working and all. And he also asked me another query, like I watched your regular JavaScript sections and it's very good, and he gives his sorry for that, it gives he the feedback for that. And he says like I'm facing a problem with how to build a logic. For example, I'm watching the JavaScript, right? Fine, so I can able to understand what is JavaScript. Yeah, so my voice is clear, thank you for that. So and he says like okay, so can I'm watching your JavaScript series regularly and it is good, like I can able to know like what is the syntax, how it works and all, but I'm pretty I'm comfortable with doing projects. Like when it comes to logics behind those projects, I feel like I'm not able to do that. How can it really demotivates me, how can I came up. And the simple example I given to him is that, right, the every developer face it, like there is a phase called like we can say we can feel like we don't know nothing. That is a phase is that. And that is everyone, for everyone literally there. Okay, so how to came up with this, it's to make a continuous connection with the code work, right? You need to do a mini projects at least and 30 minutes or 1 hour, just daily do practice the coding for create any logic for anything. Like you just create an app or just create and drop down, just create and click event and affect like that, mini project, just do that. And that's really improves your logic behind that. Because if you share that in public, you see like people started to engage with you in some other times. That's really helpful. Okay, so don't feel demotivate when you don't understand like JavaScript is not for me. No, absolutely not. JavaScript is for everyone. Like if I can able to do that, then you can able to do that. The only thing is you need to be consistent. In the name of consistent, if I say like if I want to sit and just want to watch the tutorial, it is a waste of time. So instead practicing code for 15 minutes is more. Okay, it's greater than like sitting in front of a tutorial for 10 hours. Okay, so practice yourself in like just increase the logical skills behind that. That's really helpful for you. Okay, so yeah, this is the share today that he comments me like the first message he replied to me, sir, please accept my connection. I have a very doubt towards web development. Please accept me, like that. And I was like, there is no please. Like if you want to connect, just give a connect that, and that's more than enough. All the TW members are available there, and you just give a connection. That is more than enough. Like whatever the queries you have, whatever the problems you are facing, we are here to help you. Okay, so that is what our businesses, right? So we are here in YouTube too, there is a service, right? So that is what we need to do, and that is what we are looking for. Okay, so don't worry about that. If you have any doubt, feel to connect with Nabidu Biswa sir. He is very huge in LinkedIn. And for CSS you connect from sir, he is very good at, and he will help you there. And for JavaScript, you can surely make sure, if you want, you can do that. Okay, so the same, like if you want to excel your skills towards your skill is more valuable when you just started to learn in public and show it in public. Okay, so that keeps motivate. Okay, so that is what I want to say. Okay, so come to the topics, like for the last JavaScript, what we have completed, like we have completed the classes and inheritance. We look into that and what is the use of classes. Like we have seen that classes is very a pretty good feature that available in JavaScript to create objects. It is like a blueprint. By using that blueprint, we can able to create the JavaScript objects, and it is easy to inherit too. Okay, so that is all the things we have seen. At the end, we have I think we have done with the arrow functions, right? So we have seen about what is arrow function and all. So right now what we're going to see, how to set a default value for the arrow function. It is going to be very easy. That is we're going to see. And the next thing, we just move on to the scopes. Yeah, So the main thing is about scopes. That is what we're going to see. Just get started with the arrow functions. Okay, so what I'm going to do, just going to use the JS bin. I hope that you know what is JS bin is. JS bin is just like an online compiler, like it is used to uh, teach. You can use Visual Studio Code, that's fine. Okay, so I just want to teach convenience. I just want to use this thing. Okay, so what is arrow function? We see in the last class. Is anyone here? You can comment what is meant by arrow function if you really know that. And for the previous classes, we have teach that. It is just like a function. It is get an updation from an ES6. So it is what the updation it made. We can use the syntactic tool. That is what the updation is done by that. And we're going to see that. For example, we need to create a function. We need to do a lot of keywords. We need to give the name and we need to give the parentheses and all, right? So right now what we're going to do, we just going to create an function with arrow function. So how can I create? I can simply say a variable const, and here we can say, like, if I want to say variable x equal to, and if I want a function, instead of using those keywords, I can simply give the parenthesis and I can do whatever I need. That this is the syntax. Okay, so this is obviously syntax. Like if you have a one parameter, like if you want to pass only one parameter, then this parenthesis also not necessary. You just say, for example, my was going to be a, I just say a, and here just we can say a, and here place where or code to execute. So this is going to be a one line code. You don't want to use anything directly, you can use something like this, and we can say console.log a, like this. So right now what is the function is going to be? The function is going to be the x. So I just say x. So inside that we need to pass a parameter. So the x is going to be have a parameter. So here I just say, I just passing a string like welcome all. Okay, so and just run this, you can see the welcome all here. So how it does get work? The same like function, how we pass the parameter like that, it will be work like that. Okay, so and what if I want to pass more than a one parameter, then you need to wrap this parenthesis. The parenthesis is mandatory. Okay, so you need to wrap this with. So here the thing to know. And another thing is, like if you are writing code that is more than a line, so then what we do, if I writing a logic that is more than a line, what I do, what we actually do, we wrap this with curly braces, right? We wrap this with curly braces. So this curly braces, when once you started to use this curly braces, now I just you can notice that weird thing is happening here. You can notice that it will be work, right? So it will be work because it has going to be have a single line of code. But the thing is, you need to use the return keyword. Okay, so why you need to return keyword? Because using more than a line of code, then you need to use the return keyword and the curly braces. It is a mandatory one. Okay, so if you are using a single line code, then it is not a mandatory one. That's it. Okay, so now what we're going to do, what we going to see is like how to set a default parameter. Like it is suitable for both arrow function and also for the normal function. So what is meant by default parameter? Like you can see, this is going to be the parameter. What is the property, like what is the work that parameter will do? The work parameter will do is like whatever the value we are giving as an argument, it is taken by the parameter, and we can use those values inside the functions. Okay, so that is what this parameter will do. I know if I don't give any, like you can see right now we have two things, and I used two things like a comma b, something like that. Okay, so I used two things to it. Okay, so I used two things to return it in the console. We just say console instead of that. So here what I'm going to do, I just say a comma b instead a plus b. Okay, like that we can say, let's see, equal to, or you can pause something like this way, and I just say return c. Okay, so just add two number and you need to return that variable you want. So right now if I call the x, right now I call the x, where I need to call the x, I just say console.log, just call those x. Okay, so call those x, and if I run this, you can notice, oh sorry for that console. So you can notice it will be provide nan. Why the reason it provides nan? Because you can see, like I'm working a function, the function has two parameters, so based on those parameters only those logic has been written. So if I don't pass any parameter, if I don't pass any parameter, like any argument value I don't pass, means then what is this? So it is like a variable without any values, which means it is going to be undefined. For example, if I say here I just create an if condition, if a equal to undefined, I'm checking that whether a is equal to undefined or not. So if a is equal to undefined, obviously b is also undefined. Okay, so undefined, if a is equal to undefined, then console.log a, like that. Okay, so and if I run this, you can see it produces undefined. The meaning of this, like the value of a is right now undefined. The value of a is right now undefined, so that is why this value gets true. And if I say console log, it will returns me like nothing is there, so it returns me the undefined data type, right? So that is what. So right now you can notice that we are not passing any arguments, but the function needs some parameters, right? So in some cases it will be happen like we are not able to pass any parameters, the user will forget to pass any parameter. So in that cases it needs to take the default one. Okay, so how can we set the default one? We can simply give a equal to and we can set it like here the default one, it's going to be 6. Okay, for the default one it's going to be 10, something like that. So now if I call this function, you can notice that 16 will be okay. So this if class is not get it not get paused because you can notice that it is undefined, right? So if I say it is going to be undefined, good need to run, but right now a is not an undefined, the value of a is a number, right? So it is going to be number. So you can check if I say a is equal to 6 and you can run this, you can see it's going to run, it just gives the value of 6, right? So we remove this. So the purpose of giving a default parameter is in some cases we don't pass any arguments, then it takes the default arguments. Okay, so if I pass the argument, like for example if I say 5 and if I say 8, now in this cases I'm passing the argument, so there is no use of using this default argument. So if I run this, you can notice it will produce the value which I passed. It doesn't touch the default parameter. So the default parameters will work when the argument is not passed. For example, if I pass only one value, then the a is going to be 5 and b it doesn't have any value, then it's undefined, but it have a default, it's going to take the default value and it produce the value called 50. Fine. So that's it. So that is for the default parameters for arrow functions. Okay, fine with that. So we can move for the next topic, that is going to be the scope. Okay, so this is same for the functions also. For example, if you are I'm working with arrow function, instead of this you can work with the function, you can use the same thing and you can give the name, you can pass the default parameter, it will be fine for us, fine, and that is not a problem. Okay, fine. So the next thing we're going to discuss about the AS6 variables like let and const. Why it is necessary? It is necessary because of the scope. So we're going to see about the scoping technique and we move on to the next. Okay, so here I just remove this and clear it. Okay, so here we see about scope. So what is the meaning of scope? Meaning of scope is we can say like how, okay, we can say like how the place where the place instead of the place where you can access variable. So it is like a place like right now I just have an property, which means a particular place is assigned to me, right? So inside that whatever I want I can able to do that, but outside that I'm not able to do, right? The same like that scope. What is meaning of scope is like every variable declared, when it's declared it has some scope. So by using that scope, so we are inside that scope means we can able to access it. We are outside the scope means we are not able to access that. So that is what we're going to see. So first we see about var. Okay, so it is the oldest keyword that is used in JavaScript to declaring a variable. Like we have a var, it's used for the previous day itself. So what is the scope it has? Means it has global, it has a global level scope, and it has a functional scope, but it not have a block level scope. Okay, so I will explain that. So what is mean by this global level functional but not level? Okay, so I will explain that. So comes to global scope. Global scope. So every global variable. So what is a global variable? The variable that declared outside the function, it is called as global variable. For example, simply I just go for and I take the JavaScript. I say let name equal to something like this. Then this is going to be the what? This is going to be the global variable. So it is stored in the global variable. So we can this is right now we can able to access it like a global variable. So here we can say global variable. Okay, like this. So instead of let, we are going to use var. Okay, it is going to be global variable. So what is the property of this global variable? Right, we can able to access everywhere, literally wherever you want to access that, you can able to access it. For example, if I say, if I just going to create a function, here I just say like greets, and here I'm passing an value that is going to be the name of the person, and here I just say return, here return, like I say returning a string, congrats, and I just want to pass the name, and here functions greets, and here what I going to do, I just going to call that function. So I just going to say greets, something like that, and I just going to pass the variable name. Okay, so something inside it. Okay, so instead of passing an argument like this, okay, so right now you can understand, like if I pass the argument like this, it is going to be work, right? Console.log, and if I pause this and if I run this, it is going to work, because taking this variable and passing as a dynamic argument, and this argument is taking as a parameter, and it will be work, right? So and it will be work inside it. But what if, right, if I don't pass any argument, whether it or not, so if I run this, you can see it is work without any disturbance. How it is happening? Because this is going to be a global variable, it's going to have access inside the function and also outside the function. For example, after the greets, I say console.log, if I say console.log and I call the name, and you can see it will be access it and it will be run. So here it's going to be congrats Hari, and it's going to be Hari. So what happening? So here inside the function, if I call for an variable, right now it's just looking into it, like whether the variable with the name of name available inside the function or not. Check, and if it not found, what it will do, it will go for the parent element and check that. Right now, what is the parent element? Be the document, right? The global. So it will check for the name, it is available or not. Like yes, we have a variable with the name is available, so you can take it, will access it, and it will be displayed. Okay, so simply we can say global variable in JavaScript, global variable is accessed both inside the function and also outside the function. Okay, so this is the one thing you need to note. Okay, so and right now, instead of this, I just going to create a local scope. So what is going to be local scope? Means a variable that is declared inside a function, that is going to be local scope. For example, here I created var name is equal to Hari. Okay, so here what I'm going to do, I just going to say var name equal to, okay, you can see that I'm not reassigning. What I'm doing, I'm declaring a variable. Okay, so here I just going to say like this. And right now, if I clear this, if I run this, you can notice that right this name variable accessing only this name. Okay, it is not accessing this, it is not accessing this, and it will only accessing the variable that is declared inside it. Okay, it is accessing the variable declared inside it. The reason for this is, when you declare a variable inside a function, this is be the local scope, and if that variable is available in the function itself, it doesn't go and search for the global, like our parent cells to whether any name with the name or not available or that. For example, if I create the same thing outside the function, you can notice that for var variable, this is going to be a minor disadvantage. Like we can able to create same variable name but different value. So if I you can notice that it is not sure, like we cannot reuse those variable name, right? So here you can see I am able to this variable name. So it major error here. Before that, we go here for the function. Okay, so how this working, like if I declare a variable inside a function, it will check for the function and it doesn't go for the global function to check whether available or not. Because what does that mean? Because I have that, why I need to go for my parents and I ask for that whether it is available or not. So this concept is called as naming conflict. Like once the same variable name is declared inside it, okay, so variable name, it's declared inside the function, so it lost the connection with the parent scope, so it will not connect with the parent scope. That is called as naming conflict, we say that. Okay, so but that is not what we need. So here it is going to be local scope. Why it's going to be local scope? But right now you can think like, okay, so this is the variable you have created first, and right now you created this variable with the same name. So what happened? This is what mostly we think when you don't understand the concept, right? So that is what we think, but actually it is not happening like that. When I declare a function, when I declare a variable inside the function, this is going to be the separate universe. Okay, so it is going to be the separate universe. It is included with the outer universe. Okay, so it is going to be the separate universe. It will not interfere with all the outer universe we have. So if I declare a variable inside a function, it will be accessed only inside the function. You can notice that I'm accessing a name. Okay, so if I call the name, if in case this name variable is replaced by this name variable, then how it produces Hari? The reason is it does not replace, right? So it only able to access inside the function, but global variables we can able to access outside the function, and also we can able to access out inside the function too. So this is what global scope and local scope. Okay, so this is the only thing you need to know. And here you can notice that this is also called as functional scope. So that is what I say, var variable have global scope and also functional scope, right? So we can able to declare a variable globally and we can access it globally, and also we can declare it in a function and it will be accessed only inside the function. Okay, so that's it. So the next what we're going to do, the next what I just going to do means I just going to create a block level uh okay, for example, anything that comes inside the curly braces, working with that, it is considered as a block level. Okay, so that is what we're going to see. For example, if okay, this going to have a block level scope, so I just going to say like if it is true, if it is true, okay, so I just defaultly passing the true, so then this code is going to be executed. I say var name equal to I just going to say what we can say, we can say max, like that. And right now if I changed, how it gets, so you can notice declare a variable inside and function, it not gets changed. Like you can notice that same thing I'm doing, but I just give summary, like it will go that name, right? So the name gets, it's not get changed. But when I used this variable inside a block level element, but the variable gets changed. How? Because I already said that var variable does not have a block level scope. So which means, so if you are declaring a variable inside the block level scope, it is accessible outside block too. Okay, so that is why the names gets changed. That is why the name of Hari is gets changed to Max. Okay, so this is the thing, like a var variable has a functional scope and global scope, but it does not have the block level scope. So this is the get. Okay, so right now you just understand. And what we see, we can able to redeclare, like we can able to declared and variable with the same identifier name, right? For example, here I can say var and I call the name equal to, I just pause something like Paul. like that. You can notice that it shows no error, right? So is that cool? No, the answer is not cool, because it need to throw some error, because I'm using the same variable but it not. Okay, so this is not a fair one, right? So usually like JavaScript, when we use the var, it's going to be look like that. But when I use the let, I say let, here I can go for the let, and we remove this one. Okay, so now clear it. If I run this, you can notice that the same code, when I use var here, when I use var here, when I use var here, you can notice if I run that, it will change it to max. But when I use let here, you can notice that the variable is not changing, it will only show array. So the reason is, let keyword has global level scope, like we can able to declare that variable a global scope, we can access it inside the function, outside the function, it is fair. And we can declare it in the block level too. If I declare that any variable in a block level, then it is going to available inside that block level only, it is not going to available outside. Okay, so this is also create a separate universe. Like for example, it creates a separate universe, it not going to disturb anything outside that. Same like that, here the block level, anything that inside a block, that is also going to be inside the universe only, like it doesn't going to affect the outside world. Okay, so this is the difference between var and const. So var is pretty word, in simple terms, just avoid word, you can just go for let. Okay, so it is, we can consider like let is update version of var. Okay, so that is what true is. Okay, so var has both global level and also it has local level scope, and also it has the block level scopes. Fine with that. Okay, connection, checking my connection, it's fine, right? So this is going to be the global level scope. So what's then going to be the const? What is then going to be the const? So const, like for if I able to reassign, right, we can just comment this. And if I started to reassign a variable, for example, I say let name equal to, and we can give a name max. Okay, so and we can try to reassign it. So this is reassigning it. Redeclaring is different, reassigning is different. Declaring means like I need to use the keywords to declare it. Assigning means, so inside this a value is here and I need to change those value. For example, instead of max, I just give jack. Okay, so now what happened? If I say console.log name, so initially JavaScript read this code and it will create and space for max in the variable name. And after that, what happened? It take away that max outside that. When it read this code, it take away outside that value max, and then it puts inside the jack into it. So if I run this code, it's going to display the jack name. Okay, so that is what it's going to do. But if you don't want to change and value of a variable, like if you don't want to change the value of a variable, like it's going to be an important one, I don't want to change that one. So in that cases, what you can do, you can use the const one, like const. If I say the const, then what is the values, what is going to do, it's just going to stick with that. It is going to be say constant, the value it's never going to change. For example, this is an important data that I don't want to change, like it is going to be an important, just declare a const means but you can see the error is right, it just go an error for us, right? So that is what happened. Okay, so this is the only difference between let and const. Okay, let and const, so the both let and const has the scope of global level, function level, and block level scope, but what doesn't have block level scope. Okay, so that is the thing you need to understand, it comes to globe. Okay, for advanced JavaScript, Yeah, sure. I share the JS bin also. I have with that the updated, and also we have the website too. I will share that at the end, like just wait for 20 minutes. Like I will share the TWD blog website is also available. You can get all the advanced JavaScript concepts in the detailed blog itself. Okay, so it will be available. I will share that too. Okay, fine. Okay, so okay. Okay, fine. So the next what we're going to do, the scope is finished. So the next thing what we just going to share is array methods. Like most of you excited to hear the array methods of ES10, that gives a lot more future. To discuss here is we just to shows me internet connection lost. Just a minute to get fine with the connection. I think so. So the one thing like we going is we have lots of methods get updated. Like we have stated methods and array, so much of things that after ES6 has been updated, like the trim all and replace all is available. Like so much methods get updated. So right now we're going to discuss about some of the array methods. That is really helpful when you working with the frameworks and library like React and so on. Like so we're going to see about one of the method. Like for example, the first array method we're going to share. I just we're going to use it. It's going to be the map method. Okay, so before that we see what is for each method. Okay, right, we know that loop concept, like we can use the for loop. We also discussed about what is for each also. So what is the for loop will do, it will, we can use the loop to loop through an array, uh, something like that, right? So we can use that. What is the for each method do? The for each method removes all the hassle from the for loop, right? So we don't want to use the condition, we don't want to use where to start, where to end, how to increment, what is the most of the logic it get rid, right? So that is what for each do. For example, I can say const nums equal to, okay, so here I just say 1 2 3 4 5 6, something like this. And here what we can say like nums, we need to call the array and we need to use the for each method, and inside that we need to pass a function, right? So I just call the function, and here I just say we have three parameters here. One is going to be the item like values, that is going to be the value of it, like what is the value it need to return. And the second thing is going to be the index of that, how, what is the index it should be there. And third one is going to be the array of it. So right now I just going to use the item and index. Okay, so here I just say console.log, and here is I just pausing a string, the value is, and here we can say item, and here we can say it is in the index of, like this, and we can pause the index. Fine with that, just give a run. You can see the value is at, and we can give a space here. Okay, and we can give and dot also, and it's much more clear, right? Like this, clear it, run it. You can notice that the value to be 1 and it is at the index of 0. So what this represent the item. So the first parameter is going to take the value of the array, and the second parameter is going to take the index of the array. So we have the third parameter that is going to take the entire array. Okay, so if I call for it, it will be give any parameter name, it is going to take for the entire array. So that is what it's going to do. Okay, so that is what everything happen, like 1 2 3, it will loop through it and it will do it. Okay, so in case, for example, if I want to multiply, like I want to create a doublet of this array, so how can I do that? So simply we can say, simply we can say, we can remove this. So for creating a doublet, we don't want the index, we just want the item. Here we say item make it 2, something like that. Okay, so we clear it, we run it, and you can see we get the doublet of the array. But you can notice that it is not in an array format, it will just throw the result. So right now, if I want to create an array, I just want to doublet, this is going to be an array. I need another array that is going to be the doublet of this array. How can I do that? So for doing that, no, just think about the logic for each. For each does not return anything, it just return the value, the what the code you are writing. Okay, for example, if I say return, okay, simply like return item into 2, something like that. And here I just say let x equal to, and here if I call for console.log x, well, that works. Just check it out. If I run this code, you can notice that it's going to be undefined. So the reason is like it's not going to work because it does not return anything like a value like that. It just go and loop through it and run a particular function, so it does not store anything inside it. So if I want to create an array, okay, so if I want to create an array, then what I need to do? So what I need to do, instead of using this return and all, you need to use the array method. For example, here I say let x equal to, it is going to be an empty array. So inside that I need to pass all the variable that when the code runs. So how can I say that? We have a method to add an array inside that. So we can say x dot push. Okay, so this is going to be the method to add an item inside that array. So we can use this method and we can just go for it. Why it's throwing error? Let x is, so if I run this, you can notice that we have the doublet of the array. So these are the things we need to do to create an array. So why we are creating this? Why we are doing this? Because that for each method, it does not return anything, right? So it does not return it. What it will do, it just, we call this an iterator. It will take the function and it will run on each and every element in an array. Okay, so that's what it will do. Okay, so it doesn't going to create anything that like that. So for that, we need to say, like, if you are running on an element, then you need to push that value of the doublet into an array, and these are all the things you need to do. Okay, so this is called as array iterator. And we can know that for is also an ES6 concept. The answer is no, like it is introduced before ES6, but also when after the ES6 concept introduced, it speaks most. So that is why we also take these iterators into the ES6 concept also, concepts only. Okay, so this is what the for each do. So that is an easiest way of doing that. How can we do that? Means by using the map method. So what I did, I say like this for each method does not going to return anything. It's just going to run this function, and we need to say that what the logic it has to perform. So but the map method, what it's going to do, it's just going to by default return an array, which means it will whatever the logic we are giving, like we are want to loop through a function, it is going to perform like an for each only. So we're going to pass anything. So but instead of saying like x dot push, it automatically creates an array for that. Okay, it automatically returns an array of value. Okay, so it just going to return an array of value. So let's see that how it works. For example, I say like what is the variable we need to go, nums dot map. Okay, so here we can pause the functions, like I just pause the function, something like this. And inside that, what we can say, like we can say item $2 item, oh sorry, multiply by 2. So this is going to be the if I say item multiply by 2, this is going to be the value, right? So we need to pause the item, right? So we need to pause the item. Okay, so right now you can notice that we have created it, but what I say, it's going to return an array. So we need to get that, right? So for that, I just going to say let x equal to nums map function, and this is going to be an item, and you need to return this item to it. Okay, you need to return this. Here you can notice that we need to return it. Okay, we need to return this variable to here. So why? Because it is going to create an array. By default it is going to create an array only. So here if I log this console.log, if I say x, and if I run this, you can notice that okay, so here I just create console, okay, like this. And if I run this, you can notice that we have created the doublet. So what is the difference of for each and map method? For each method, it doesn't going to return anything. It's just going to iterate over the values, and it's going to run on it. Okay, so that is what the for each method do. But what is the map method do? It is going to iterate it. Okay, so it is also going to do the same thing, but by default it creates an array. Okay, so every value, so after this item dot 2, so if it is runs on the 1, it multiply by 2 and it return the value to x, the x is going to be an array. By default it creates that, and all the values pass like an array, and everything that what we will get here. Okay, so this is going to be the one of the important thing that you need to notice when it comes to map, because we use this map method for most in React when we work with the React method, when array helper methods. And the next thing, we have so much of things, we have so many things, so many updates has been available, we can use that. Okay, so and also we have another important thing is called filter method. So the filter method, how it works means, it works based on condition, like the name itself, we can filter it out. For example, here you can give the condition. For example, if I say greater than item greater than 3. So if I say item greater than 3, so what it going to do, it just going to return the value that is greater than 3. Okay, so I just say filter, the same thing the filter will do, it is also returns an array of value, but it will check for the condition. If the condition becomes true, it will send the value to the variable. Okay, so if I save this, you can see only 4, 5, 6 is available, because those values are greater than 3. For example, if when the item is 1, it's going to be written false. So if it returns false, means those values are not allowed inside the newly created array, so it will leave that. And also you need to do that. So now what we can do, for example, we can use some of the tricks by using the filter too. For example, if I simply say item, and here if I give some empty arrays, if I give some empty arrays, and I just give some of the false and like false variable, and I just give what we can say, we can give 0, and we can say null, and we can give undefined, some some arrays that has these type of value. Okay, if I use the filter method, let's see what happening. If I clear it and I run that, you can notice that it is just going to represent 1 2 3 4 5. You can see that nothing, this empty string, this false, this null, even the 0, undefined is not here. So the reason is why, because I say that it is going to check for the condition, like if it is written true, then it will be accepted inside that array. If it is written false, then it is not going to accept it. So I just simply say item. Why I say item? Because this is what I need. So when it comes to 2 and then it sees an empty space, so if it is going to be then empty, then it is going to have an falsy value. Doesn't have a truthy value. Like even if you give 0, false, null, empty string, all of them, even I pass an empty string, all of them, that is going to have a false value. So that is going to return false only. So by using the filter method, what we can do, we can remove all the extra spaces, and also be careful when you are working with the data types. Okay, so if you simply pause like that, it will just remove it. Okay, so you need to be careful when you're working with the truthy value and falsy value. So the filter method, if it return trues, it will be get into that array. If it returned false, it does not get into an array. But there is no careful here, because why I'm saying, like, the filter and map, it creates a new array only, it doesn't touch the old one, right? So it doesn't going to touch the source array. So we are creating a new array only, so our source array is going to be safe. But you need to think about that when to use that like the filter method. Okay, that is you need to think. And we have reducer method. and that is also fine. Like you can use that to sum of all the things, like to reduce it. Okay, so you can use that, fine. And that's more than enough for ES6. Next we're going to see about destructuring of it. So what is meant by destructuring? The name itself we have. So when it comes to destructuring, we can say like we have an array. Let us consider we have an array. Okay, so that name, it's going to be const num equal to, and here I can create 1 2 3 4 5 something like that, and this is going to be here. And if I want to destructure it, which means I need to take this variable outside and I need to store it in a separate variable. For example, let num1 equal to, and how can I take this variable? We can access it by using num, and we can say 0. So if I say console.log num1, and we have the value 1, right? The same like that we need to do it for everything. So this is the whole way of destructuring an array. Like we need to copy it, and we need to say that, and we need to declare it num2, num3, and if simply I run this, you can get an error like identifier num1 is already declared. So I say that, but if I declared it in var, and I run this, you can see it doesn't throw any error. So this is also a main difference between let and var. You will discuss that when we are working with the hoisting concept that we see later. Okay, so right now, if you declare variable with let and const, you need to give the different variable name identifiers for that. And also you need to change this to, like this is going to be the index 1, this is going to be the index 2, and this is going to be the index 3. And here also it is going to be index 3, and it is going to be index 2, it is going to be index 1, and sorry, this is going to be num1, this is going to be num2, this is going to be num3, and this is going to be num4. So this is how we destructure it. Okay, fine. This is very cool. Like it is a easy way to destructure. Like we can consider, like just think about that, you have an array that has more than 1,000 data. You have just like 1,000 data, then what will happen? Like you need to work with the entire life with destructuring an array. That is what going to happen, right? So you need to spend an entire life to destructure an array. So here comes and cool feature that you can able to destructure. So that is what we're going to see. Okay, instead of doing that, we can say const, and here we can declare it with an array. Okay, here you can notice mostly we declared with an identifier. So in this place we can declare it with an array. Okay, and you can give that which array you're going to destructure. So here we're going to destructure this nums array. So here I just going to say nums. That's it. Okay, so inside that you can declare whatever the variable name you want. For example, I say num1 for the variable 1. So note here is the order is very important. Okay, so if you want the first one, then you need to give the exact name for the first one. Okay, so that is very important. I just say num1, and I just say num2, and I just say num3, and we can say num4, we can say num5, we can say num6, like this. And here you can copy this, and if I say console.log, paste it inside this and clear it, run it. It shows like why my S and O was getting replaced, I don't know. Like if I run that, you can see 1 2 3 undefined and 5. This is because of this empty space. Okay, which means and value is not defined. So that is what it is going to represent. Okay, fine with that. So right now you can understand, like this is a easy way of destructuring it, right? So what you need to do, you need to call that function, you need to give the name inside an array, and you need to say which array you need to destructure it. That's fine. Okay, so that is what you need to do. And you can notice that, okay, so there is some empty spaces that I don't want to destructure. Then what you can do, you can leave the space for it, something like this. Okay, if you leave the space for it, now this variable will get ignore that place. For example, num4 is there. So what is the value of num4? It is going to be the 4. When it comes to num5, if I say an empty, if I just give an empty space and I leave it go for num6, then what it's going to do, it's going to ignore it. For example, I just leave for num2, I just going to leave for num2. Okay, I just going to leave for num2, and I just calling num1, num3, num4, num6. Okay, so now you can notice num1 is going to be 1. For num2, I just give an empty space, then this value get ignored, and num3 it's going to be 3 and 4, and the value get ignored, and it's going to be 5. If I run this, you can notice that 2 and that undefined is get rid. The reason is like, if you give an empty space, then what should going to happen, like it's going to ignore from the thing, like it's going to ignore the value in an array. Okay, you can use that to destructure it. It is an easiest way to destructure your works and all. So the next thing is how to destructure an object. So the for array it's fine. So how can I destructure an object? Okay, so here you want to, you need to consider the order, right? So when, if you don't give it in right order, then it will be collapsed, right? So same like that, in object you need to focus on the property. Let I explain. For example, if I say console.log, if I say console.log, oh, not for console.log, I just say const. Here I just say like something like core. Okay, so I just going to say core, and here we just create an variable brand. We can create an variable brand, and here we can say like Audi, something like this, and here we can go for the model. Okay, 2022, and here we can go for the type. Okay, type is equal to, okay, type is going to be something like nxy, some type is there. Okay, so that is going to be the n, something like this, cjr, it's going to be the type of the car. Okay, how can we destructure it? So in old ways, how can we do that? We can say car dot brand. Okay, so we assigned it with a variable like late brand equal to car dot brand. So now if I console dot log the brand, you can get the value of those brand, right? So the console, yes, right now again, just write this, you can see you're going to get the brand name. So this is the destructuring. How can I use this destructuring method? So how we need to use that means, we need to say that which one we need to destructure, and we can use that. For example, how can I say that means const. So for array we use this what, square bracket. So for here we're going to use this curly braces and just give equal to, and which one you need to destructure. And here make sure that you are giving the right name. For example, if I give num, I give num, and I just say model, and I just say type. Okay, something like that, and I just console again, console.log, console.log, I need to log all the destructured values like this. And if I run this, you can notice undefined is there. The reason behind is you need to give what the property name. Okay, so here the order is not matter, but you need to give the exact property name, that is matter. Okay, so if I run this, you can see what happened. Okay, num, here also we need to replace. Okay, so you need to give the exact property name of an object, then only it's going to be work. Okay, so and you have a doubt like how can how can I give the, for example, inside that only, like whatever the property name only I can able to do, means how can I rename it? When it comes to variable, I just think about like instead of brand, I'm thinking about like the core what, car brand. Okay, so instead I need to change that. How can I do that? You can just give the colon, and you can give the whatever the name you want. Like for example, here like say core pure and, this is going to be core brand. So instead of brand, you can call this with core brand. Now this property name get replaced with the core brand variable. Okay, so now you can able to access that. Fine, so this is used for renaming it. Okay, so what if, like for example, I have inside that, and I have like sales. Okay, so inside this I have an object. So this inside that I have an array. So this array have something, some numbers are available. How can I destructure this? So this is going to be nested destructuring, like, so this is going to be work with some nested object. So how can I do that? So you can do that. First you need to destructure the sales, right? So I just destructure the sales. Then now you destructure it. Now what is the value you have? You having an array. So now what you need to do, you need to use this one, like like mm, like you need to give this, and inside that you need to destructure whatever you want. Like for example, I say price price one, like that. And if I call for the price one, and if I run this, you can notice that 23 is t6. For example, if I want the 45, then what I need to do, I just ignore the second space, and I need to give price 2. So now the price 2 is also get destructured. If I run this, you can see the 45 will be get. Okay, so that's it. That's how the nested object will be work. So inside this, let us consider inside this, there is another object is going to be there. Then what you need to do, you need to inside that, what you need to do, you need to give this, like you need to give a value for that. Like you need to pass that what is the value it's going to be, and you need to destructure that, and you need to give the semicolon, and you need to use, if it is going to be object, you need to use the curly braces. If it is going to be an array, you need to use the box model. That is how you can destructure it up any level. Like you want to destructure for more than one level, you can use it. Okay, so that is fine with that. Okay, so the next thing, the last thing today's class we're going to discuss is about the spread operator. So the spread operator is a easy way to copy paste your arrays and all. For example, I have a const num equal to 1 comma 2 comma 3 comma 4, and I have something called as uh, const num2 equal to, I have an array like 2 comma 3 comma 4 comma 5, like this. And I need to add that. How can I do that? The classical way, remove that. We have something called as these three dot, and we can use that to combine. You can be able to use this three dot, you can be able to copy paste it. For example, I say create a variable called const num equal to, I just created, I just want to copy the num1 comma, I just want to copy the num2. Okay, so that's it. And we can go for the console.log, and here we go for the nums. And if I run this, again console.log, and if I run this, you can notice that that tables gets compiled, right? So if you give the first one like this, then you can notice that 2 3 4 5 1 2 3 4. Okay, so this is all about the spread operator. Okay, so these are all the topics that we need to see today. Like we go discuss about we just covered about the spread operator, and one more thing is that are available, it is going to be the spread operator. That is what we're going to see. And we covered the destructuring function, we covered the scopes, and we covered everything, literally everything. So these are the things that that's for today's topic. If you have any doubt, you can ask here. Okay, so I'm doing rushing up means like the hotspot is going to be dead. So that is the main reason, first of all. Okay, so due to the bad weather, like we have facing that. So fine with that. Okay, so if you have any doubt, you can ask here. And the same, like more students are coming to LinkedIn, they are getting response and they are getting reply, and I highly suggest that you have any problems, like if you feel demotivated, or if you want to know like where to go and what I need to continue after this or that, just come to the LinkedIn, and you can, like, I think most of all are in our WhatsApp group and are in our community. You can go for Nabil sir, he is active in LinkedIn, and you can find my LinkedIn profile, Mausam sir LinkedIn profile so much. Okay, so you can use LinkedIn profile to contact us, and you can personal text, you can use that. Absolutely, you can do that. Okay, so the next tomorrow going to do some of the yes concept is still left, that's we going to cover. and we need to cover that. So after that we're going to cover about the immediate evoking functions and prototypes and all we're going to see. Okay, so tomorrow it's not going to be JavaScript class. Tomorrow we're going to have a React project class is going to be. So we're going to see Thursday. Okay, so Thursday and Friday this continuous shop is going to be there, and see you in that Thursday. Okay, so bye for today, see you in the Thursday.